From translation, NKJV New King James Version. This 91 day of the year. Today we are reading passages 1 Samuel 18 to 20. 1 Samuel chapter 18, verses 1 to 30. Now it came to pass, when he had finished speaking to Saul, that the soul of Jonathan was knit to the soul of David, and Jonathan loved him as his own soul. Saul took him that day and would not let him return to his father's house. Then Jonathan and David made a covenant, because he loved him as his own soul. And Jonathan took off the robe that was on him and gave it to David, and his armor, even his sword and his bow and his belt. So David went out wherever Saul sent him, and behaved wisely. And Saul set him over the men of war, and he was accepted in the sight of all the people, and also in the sight of Saul's servants. Now it had happened as they were coming home, when David was returning from the slaughter of the Philistine, that the women had come out of all the cities of Israel, singing and dancing, to meet King Saul, with tambourines, with joy, and with musical instruments. So the women sang as they danced, and said, Saul has slain his thousands, and David his 10,000s. Then Saul was very angry, and this saying displeased him. And he said, They have ascribed to David 10,000s, and to me they have ascribed only thousands. Now what more can he have but the kingdom? So Saul eyed David from that day forward. And it happened on the next day that the distressing spirit from God came upon Saul, and he prophesied inside the house. So David played music with his hand, as at other times, but there was a spear in Saul's hand. And Saul cast the spear, for he said, I will pin David to the wall, but David escaped his presence twice. Now Saul was afraid of David, because the Lord was with him but had departed from Saul. Therefore Saul removed him from his presence, and made him his commander over 1,000, and he went out and came in before the people. And David behaved wisely in all his ways, and the Lord was with him. Therefore, when Saul saw that he behaved very wisely, he was afraid of him. But all Israel and Judah loved David, because he went out and came in before them. Then Saul said to David, Here is my older daughter Merab, I will give her to you as a wife. Only be valiant for me and fight the battles of the Lord. For Saul thought, Let my hand not be against him, but let the hand of the Philistines be against him. So David said to Saul, Who am I, and who are my father's house in Israel, that I should be son-in-law to the king? But it happened at the time when Merab, Saul's daughter, should have been given to David, that she was given to Adriel the Meholathite as a wife. Now Michal, Saul's daughter, loved David, and they told Saul, and the thing pleased him. Saul thought, I will let her fall into David's hand, and let him fall by the hand of the Philistines. Therefore Saul said to David a second time, You shall now be my son-in-law. And Saul's servants spoke those words to David. But David said, Is it a light thing to be a king's son-in-law, since I am a poor man and lightly esteemed? So the servants of Saul told him, saying, Thus, and so David spoke. Then Saul said, Thus shall you say to David, The king does not desire any dowry but 100 foreskins of the Philistines, to take vengeance on the king's enemies. But Saul thought to make David fall by the hand of the Philistines. So when his servants told David these words, it pleased David well to become the king's son-in-law. Now the days had not expired. Therefore David arose and went, he and his men, and they killed 200 of the Philistines. And David brought their foreskins, and they gave them in full count to the king, that he might become the king's son-in-law. Then Saul gave him Michal his daughter as a wife. Thus Saul saw and knew that the Lord was with David, and that Michal, Saul's daughter, loved him. And Saul was still more afraid of David. And Saul became David's enemy continually. Then the princes of the Philistines went out to battle, and it happened whenever they went out that David behaved more wisely than all the servants of Saul. So his name was highly esteemed. 1 Samuel chapter 19, verses 1 to 24. Now Saul spoke to Jonathan his son and to all his servants, that they should kill David. But Jonathan, Saul's son, delighted greatly in David. And Jonathan told David, saying, Saul my father seeks to kill you. Therefore please be on your guard in the morning, stay in a secret place and hide yourself. And I will go out and stand beside my father in the field where you are, and I will speak with my father about you. What I observe I will tell you. So Jonathan spoke well of David to Saul his father, and said to him, Please do not let the king sin against his servant, against David, because he has not sinned against you, and because his works have been very good toward you. For he took his life in his hands and killed the Philistine, and the Lord brought about a great deliverance for all Israel. You saw it and rejoiced. Why then will you sin against innocent blood, to kill David without a cause? So Saul heeded the voice of Jonathan, and Saul swore, As the Lord lives, he shall not be killed. Then Jonathan called David, and Jonathan told him all these things. So Jonathan brought David to Saul, and he was in his presence as in times past. And there was war again. So David went out and fought with the Philistines, and struck them with a mighty blow, and they fled from him. Then the distressing spirit from the Lord came upon Saul as he sat in his house with his spear in his hand. And David was playing music with his hand. and Saul sought to pin David to the wall with the spear, but he slipped away from Saul's presence. And the spear struck the wall, and David fled and escaped that night. Saul sent messengers to David's house to watch him and to kill him in the morning. And Michal, David's wife, told him, saying, "If you do not save your life tonight, tomorrow you will be killed." So Michal let David down through a window, and he went and fled and escaped. And Michal took a household idol and laid it on the bed, put a cover of clothes on it, and set it at the head of the bed, and covered it with a cloth. When Saul sent messengers to take David, she said, "He is sick." Then Saul sent the messengers back to see David, saying, "Bring him up to me in the bed, that I may kill him." When the messengers came in, there was the image in the bed, with a cover of clothes at its head. Saul said to Michal, "Why have you deceived me like this, and let my enemy go, that he has escaped?" And Michal answered Saul, "He said to me, 'Let me go, why should I kill you?'" So David fled and escaped, and went to Samuel at Ramah, and told him all that Saul had done to him. And he and Samuel went and stayed in Naioth. Now it was told Saul, saying, "Behold, David is at Naioth in Ramah." Then Saul sent messengers to take David. And when they saw the company of the prophets prophesying, and Samuel standing as leader over them, the Spirit of God came upon the messengers of Saul, and they also prophesied. When it was told Saul, he sent other messengers, and they also prophesied. Then Saul sent messengers again the third time, and they also prophesied. Then he also went to Ramah, and came to the great well that is at Sechu. And he asked and said, "Where are Samuel and David?" And someone said, "Indeed they are at Naioth in Ramah." So he went there to Naioth in Ramah. Then the Spirit of God was upon him also, and he went on and prophesied until he came to Naioth in Ramah. And he also stripped off his clothes, and prophesied before Samuel in like manner, and lay down naked all that day and all that night. Thus it was, that Saul was changed into another man, and he prophesied all that day and all that night. 1 Samuel chapter 20, verses 1 to 42. Then David fled from Naioth in Ramah, and went and said to Jonathan, "What have I done? What is my iniquity, and what is my sin before your father, that he seeks my life?" So Jonathan said to him, "By no means, you shall not die. Indeed, my father will do nothing either great or small, but that he discloses it to me. Why should my father hide this thing from me? It is not so." But David swore moreover, and said, "Your father certainly knows that I have found grace in your eyes, and he thinks, 'Do not let Jonathan know this, lest he be grieved.' But truly, as the Lord lives and as your soul lives, there is but a step between me and death." Then Jonathan said to David, "Whatever you yourself desire, I will do it for you." So David said to Jonathan, "Indeed tomorrow is the new moon, and I should sit with the king to eat. But let me go, that I may hide myself in the field until the third day at evening. If your father misses me at all, then say, 'David earnestly asked permission of me that he might run to Bethlehem his city, for there is a yearly sacrifice there for all the family.' If he says thus, 'It is well,' then your servant is safe. But if he is very angry, then be sure that evil is determined by him. Therefore please deal kindly with your servant, for you have brought your servant into a covenant of the Lord with you. Nevertheless, if there is iniquity in me, kill me yourself, for why should you bring me to your father?" But Jonathan said, "Far be it from you. For if I knew certainly that evil was determined by my father to come upon you, then would I not tell you." Then David said to Jonathan, "Who will tell me? Or if your father answers you roughly?" And Jonathan said to David, "Come, let us go out into the field." So they both went out into the field. Then Jonathan said to David, "By the Lord God of Israel, I shall surely sound out my father about this time tomorrow morning. If he is favorable toward David, then I will send and let you know. But if my father intends to harm you, then I will surely tell you and send you away, that you may go in peace. May the Lord be with you as he has been with my father. And do not spare me, that I may not be put to death when my father seeks my life. But as the Lord lives and as your soul lives, there is but a step between me and death." So Jonathan made a covenant with the house of David, saying, "May the Lord require it at the hand of David's enemies." Now Jonathan had caused David to swear again, because he loved him, for he loved him as he loved his own soul. Then Jonathan said to David, "Go in peace, inasmuch as we have both sworn in the name of the Lord, saying, 'The Lord is witness between you and me, and between your descendants and my descendants forever.'" And he arose and departed, and Jonathan went into the city. So David hid in the field, and when the new moon had come, the king sat down to eat the feast. Now the king sat on his seat as before on the seat by the wall, and Jonathan arose, and Abner sat by Saul's side, but David's place was empty. Nevertheless Saul did not say anything that day, for he thought, "Something has happened to him. He is unclean, surely he is unclean." And it happened the next day, the second day of the month, that David's place was empty. And Saul said to Jonathan his son, "Why has the son of Jesse not come to eat, either yesterday or today?" And Jonathan answered Saul, "David earnestly asked leave of me to go to Bethlehem. He said, 'Please let me go, for our family has a sacrifice in the city, and my brother has commanded me to be there. And now, if I have found favor in your eyes, please let me get away and see my brothers. Therefore he has not come to the king's table. Then Saul's anger was kindled against Jonathan, and he said to him, You son of a perverse, rebellious woman, do I not know that you have chosen the son of Jesse to your own shame, and to the shame of your mother's nakedness? For as long as the son of Jesse lives on the earth, neither you nor your kingdom shall be established. Therefore now, send and bring him to me, for he shall surely die. And Jonathan answered Saul his father, and said to him, Why should he be killed? What has he done? Then Saul cast a spear at him to kill him, by which Jonathan knew that it was determined by his father to kill David. So Jonathan arose from the table in fierce anger, and ate no food the 2nd day of the month, for he was grieved for David, because his father had done him shame. And it was the next day, the 3rd day, that David went out to Jonathan's place, but he had to be given an excuse to go to the field. He said to Jonathan, Let us go out into the field. And they both went out into the field. Then Jonathan said to David, The Lord God of Israel witness, when I have sounded out my father about this time tomorrow, or the 3rd day, there is good toward David. If it is good for me, will I not then send to you and disclose it to you? And may the Lord be with you as he has been with my father. And may you not only while I live show me the kindness of the Lord, but also when I am dead may the Lord not cut off your kindness from my house forever. Now therefore do not fear, for the living God will not forsake you nor my father's house. Therefore David took oath with Jonathan, because he loved him as his own soul. Then Jonathan said to David, Go in peace, inasmuch as we have sworn both of us in the name of the Lord, saying, The Lord is witness between you and me, and between your descendants and my descendants forever. And he arose and departed, and Jonathan went into the city. When David had finished talking with Jonathan, David's soul was knit to the soul of Jonathan, and Jonathan loved him as his own soul. So Jonathan arose from the table in fierce anger, ate no food the 2nd day of the month, for he was grieved for David, because his father had done him shame. Then Jonathan said to David, Go in peace, inasmuch as we have sworn in the name of the Lord, saying, The Lord is witness between you and me, and between your descendants and my descendants forever. And he arose and departed, and Jonathan went into the city. And Jonathan shot an arrow as far as it would go, beyond the stone where David was. And Jonathan cried out after the arrow, Is not the arrow beyond you? So David shouted in response, There is much beyond you, Jonathan. And Jonathan said to David, Go quickly, for the arrow has gone past you. And Jonathan shot an arrow beyond him, and he cried out, Speedily make your way, do not delay. So Jonathan's lad gathered up the arrow and came back to the city. And Jonathan gave his weapons to his lad and said to him, Go, carry them to the city. As soon as the lad had gone, David arose from the south side and fell on his face to the ground, and bowed 3 times. And they kissed one another and wept with one another. David wept the most. Then Jonathan said to David, Go in peace, inasmuch as we have sworn both of us in the name of the Lord, saying, The Lord is witness between you and me, and between your descendants and my descendants forever. And David arose and departed, and Jonathan went into the city.